But my favourite sports person would probably have to be two Michaels, and that's Michael Jones and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, because he worked so hard despite his rejection, despite him not being picked in teams, even at a high school level, but that even made him stronger, and he was able to come against that and overcome those obstacles and what people thought of him, and he worked so hard that he became the best probably basketball ever lived. And I admire him for that because it's hard, just as it is, to keep going and to persevere. And Michael Jones also because he's as a Christian, I admire him for his qualities as a godly man, and for his strength and his courage to not play on Sundays despite the pressures and that he would have had to face as an All Black, because there would have been a lot, and despite that he remained strong and said, no, this is what I want, this is what I believe is right, and I admire him for that too. So, and also just as a player, his speed was just just phenomenal.
How difficult is it to integrate physical sport, life, and spiritual?
Actually, I don't think it's quite difficult at all, because I find that through my sport and through principles of my netball and things like commitment to trainings and dedication and hard work at trainings is so similar to spiritual principles of the Christian faith. So in a way, it's kind of like, because of my netball, like I'm able to kind of exercise those principles that are basically related directly to my spiritual life, which is good, and God's able to reveal certain things to me through my sport and parts of my character that needs to be developed. And so I find sport's an awesome thing.
And now in sport, injuries and adversity is part of sport.
Yes, yeah.
Have you had examples where your faith stood you in good stead when you went through difficult times in sport?
Yes, there's been times when I haven't made certain teams that in the past that I would have liked to, and of course it's disappointing, but because of my faith I'm able to know that I've trusted my sport, my netball career in His hands, and He's gone before me, so I know that whatever happens, it's going to be alright. But yes, I have had hard times where I thought, well, shouldn't I be in that team more? Like, why am I not in that team? But I think it's also not about the results, but also He wants to develop my character in terms of, just give me the opportunity to trust in Him in those times when it feels like I don't think it should be the result.
What are the pressures you have to deal with as a young and upcoming sports person?
Time management, in terms of, because when you're at a high level of sport, it's not just sport you're playing, you also have study and family and other things around it, and church too, commitments, and it's important to manage everything and so that they're all prioritised, and just so you're on top of life. Because I've been in many stages when sport can be so overwhelming, like the commitments, the trainings, that other parts of my life would suffer, but it's important that I'm able to get that balance and to even everything out and manage everything so that everything's evenly balanced. I think AIA does a good job in connecting athletes together and equipping them despite their commitments in sport, because sport is a massive commitment, and it's important and I think it's good that they're able to incorporate spiritual side into our sport, because they can understand what we're going through as athletes. Because it is true that it can be quite hard when you're an athlete, and you can even feel lonely sometimes because you feel as though you're disconnected from the church, when really you're not. It's just that you're so committed to netball that you're always in netball, you're always having netball. And I think it's important, I think it's great how IAA are a sports ministry, so they're able to understand what we as athletes go through and our needs, and still wanting to grow in our area, and also not only grow but also be a witness to those other teammates that I play with, and to just glorify Him in all I do.